And we're back on First and Now, the official BC Lions podcast. Matt Baker alongside Nick Kowalski. Nick, you're looking ready to go here.
Yeah, I'm very happy. We're a couple days away from the home opener now. We got a taste of football at BC Place last weekend. It's been pretty cool so far.
Kind of a time warp, yeah. I mean, it's just kind of all of a sudden. Remember, we were in here. We are broadcasting, by the way, inside the Wall Center, the Go-Goat Sports studio. Shout out to Rob and Sakaris and Price, Patterson, Wadden, everybody inside the Go-Goat Sports family. Trevor Martins, can't forget him. Growing roster. It's awesome. But yeah, it seems like only yesterday we were in here pretty much the night before we drove up to Kamloops, right?
Yeah, it was funny. Where
the hell's the time?
I was just setting up the camera and I looked at the frame and it just reminded me, oh yeah, this is a familiar setting for us. But yeah, that time's been flying.
Yeah, so it's great to be back in here wherever you're listening on the Go-Goat Sports website, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Simplecast, whatever your favorite podcast platform is. And yeah, you heard Nick say there, it is game week, recording this early in the week on a Monday. We were out at the facility today. The team had a bit of a walkthrough practice to sort of get the week started. Day zero, as they call it in football lingo. It's an extra long week, and yeah, we had a good look at the team. A lot of the starters played most of the first half against Saskatchewan, and the most important thing, you get out of it relatively unscathed, right? I mean, we'll talk more about the injury list when we declare the roster here on Friday as we battle the Edmonton Elks on Saturday night, and boy, what a night that's going to be. We'll get into all that. But your overall impressions of Kamloops and being around the team every day, what was your most enjoyable aspect of that?
That's a loaded question. As far as Kamloops, the city is beautiful. The views we had every day were stunning. You're in like a valley almost. Yeah, you are in a valley, right? You could call it that, Kamloops.
I guess you can call it a valley.
Yeah, because you're lower and there's all these mountains around you, and
it's all these levels. We're kind of like on the third level at Thompson Rivers.
We were high up too, though, on that on our dorm campus. Yeah, that was a higher spot for the city.
Depending on where you are, you can get views of the rivers. You go back and listen to our Lucky Whitehead episode, or watch that video episode we did. We were in that coach's boardroom with an outstanding view of the mountains, and can catch glimpses of the Thompson River depending on where you're looking down from.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I guess my answer to your question, though, would probably be I just love the routine. I really enjoyed the food. I know it got a little repetitive after 3 weeks, but I still enjoyed the food. We had a smoothie bar every day that I did not get sick of. Walking to practice, it's a nice walk, and then you film practice, you hang out with your coworkers after. Just I love the routine of it all. That'd probably be my answer. And it was just fun things to do overall, pretty much nonstop.
And like we said, you learn fairly quickly the portions and the food servings aren't exactly built for media guys. It's more for football players. So you got to be careful with the food.
Yeah, well, this isn't like a football player meal, but we brought this up, I think, our last podcast, or maybe the Lucky Whitehead podcast, but the ice cream. That was a daily thing too.
The one time I went to get ice cream, it had melted. There was something wrong with the
no, there wasn't something wrong. There was something good, because usually it was rock hard, and I think they took it out on purpose for that purpose.
Someone was bound to complain. But football-wise, amazing. Started with upwards of about 90 players, including non-counters. Got through the rookie camp, or the first-year camp, I guess we should call it. And then the strike happened, and we won't get into that anymore. We talked a bit about that, but it was kind of an eerie feeling for those first few days. But it just kind of like a switch went off when they got the approval to play, and some of these battles were very, very intense.
Mm-hmm. And I know we talked to Coach Campbell, I believe, on the very last day of camp, and he told us he liked the last 3 days of camp, like what they look like as far as a team, and I totally agree. It feels like after the, for lack of a better term, the first years got back from Calgary, it seemed like the vets were rolling that week, and then we saw them on the field on Friday night, and they looked pretty good themselves, right? So I feel like this team they're ready to go for this home opener on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, headed to Calgary for that first preseason game, like we discussed, not the result you wanted, but I think the coaching staff collectively were impressed with some of the performances they saw. You know, you're dealing with newcomers going up against veterans on the other side, and you want to win always, but I think the same sort of held true for the home win against Saskatchewan, where There was a lot of areas they wanted to look at. They wanted to see which of the receivers they were going to keep around. Ditto goes for the secondary. And this secondary, we've talked a lot about it, but I think it's shaping up to be a good unit in the defensive backfield, talking about additions like Delvin Breaux, Luchez Purifoy. A newcomer, Tyneil Cooper, has ended with a roster spot here. He has some experience with Winnipeg, so it kind of confirms the good job that Neil, Rick, Ryan Rigmaiden have done in evaluating these players all over North America.
Exactly. And one more point about Calgary, too, is a little plug for AeroUp episode 8 here, but Coach Campbell mentions this, that what fans may not even know about the aspect of the newcomers going to Calgary is that the main Calgary Stampeders, their entire roster, during that strike period, they were still practicing. And that was 4 days. And usually teams are doing double practices every day, right? So they had upwards of 8 to 10 practices extra. So there's another factor that played into that Calgary game.
Big time.
Coach Campbell lays that out in episode 8 when we sit down with him.
Episode 7 is available, bclions.com. Check out our YouTube channel. Great work by yourself. Arrow Up, our documentary. And what are we going episode 8 this week? There's a lot happening this week. Are we going to save it or are we going to go this week?
No, it's happening this week. Yeah.
Wednesday? Okay.
Wednesday.
So more Calgary preseason content. And I will say, for those listening, watching this podcast, watch episode 7. Particularly, watch it all, but the final 2-3 minutes, it's good. Good music, good build up to the preseason game in Calgary. This is our version of Hard Knocks right here.
Yeah. So, well, I put this online, but I teased that I did not hold back in the dramatics for that one.
Yeah.
Why not? First game of the whole entire season.
Coarse language too, so
yeah.
Viewer discretion is advised, but it's real. It's raw, real content inside the locker room. So, Lions and Elks, big divisional matchup to kick this one off. Huge, Nick. They're all huge in the division, but a more divisional heavy schedule this year. The Lions will not play twice against Hamilton and Montreal, it is, I believe. So in return, you get to play 3 games against everyone in the West. Edmonton Elks, the first of 3 meetings come here. Edmonton will come back here in August. We'll go into Edmonton way at the end of the year, I think the second to last game. So all this, is on the line now. You almost couldn't ask for a better scenario to start this season off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're at home, which is a big plus too. It seems like it's going to be a fantastic crowd, so the environment's definitely going to be in our favor for sure. And CFL football is back. There's really not much more you can say, right? Yeah,
as of now, I mean, if you're on the fence about coming and buying tickets, you should never be on the fence, but get them while you can. As of this recording, only about 3,000 tickets remaining. So we're hoping and anticipating this game will be sold out. It was kind of the goal from the start when it was announced that One Republic would be performing at 6:30 p.m. It all starts with the backyard block party on Robson. Stephen Page, formerly the Bare Naked Ladies, the music headliner there. Lots of food and drinks and a lot of fun. It's going to be a true day of pre-gaming, if you will. So very much looking forward to it. But on the field, I have to prove to Edmonton, I mean, the 2 non-playoff teams in the West were us and the Elks, and both teams have expectations that they'll be in the dance, they'll be in the tournament this year. And, say all you want about how it's early and how the real season doesn't start till Labor Day. I never believe in that anyway. The wins in June and July are just as meaningful as the ones in September and October. So I know this organization is excited, and we're looking forward to bringing more content this week to hype up this game. It's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about the Elks, they have quite a different roster this year.
Yes.
Starts from the top, too. Chris Jones is the man in charge there now, and you always got to prepare for Chris Jones.
Yep. I mean, that's a guy, he's put his stamp on that organization. We think we're going to see Nick Arbuckle at quarterback. By all accounts, he's sort of performed better than Taylor Cornelius in camp and in preseason. So they have a guy who's experienced behind center. But interesting, remember, they for all the additions we made here, they're excited about some. They went out and paid the big money to Kenny Lawler. Manny Arsenault has emerged with a roster spot. So good for our old friend Manny. We were talking to TJ Lee at practice today, and he had some some funny things to say about Mr. Arsenal, all in good fun. So, yeah, this is going to be fun for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, Ed Gainey's another name that Edmonton
Huge.
brought on. Yeah, so they got a lot of veteran presence. They seemed like they were kind of keying in on in the offseason.
A lot of big plays against the Lions while he was a member of Saskatchewan. It seems every time we went into Saskatchewan for that 2-3 year stretch, Ed Gainey would do something. He'd have a pick six. He'd blitz and get to Mike Riley. So hopefully the curse of Ed Gainey is over. Just a fantastic football player. So going to be a great week. We're excited to hype it up each and every day. In just a couple moments here, we're going to talk to someone who we've really enjoyed talking football with, John Bowman, the Lions defensive line coach. It's funny, for all the criticism the league gets about player movement and one-year contracts, and it's justified, it's valid, I'm sure thing, but this is a guy who spent his entire career with one organization, the Montreal Alouettes, and that to me was kind of a surprise to get that from Rick Campbell in the offseason that we were going to hire John. A good surprise. This is a guy who's elected to kick off his coaching career on the opposite end of the country, so excited to hear what John Bowman has to say. And by all accounts, what we've seen, these players on the defensive line have bought into him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just a born and bred winner too, right? He's got multiple Grey Cups with Montreal. His personal or his stats speak for themselves, his individual ones, and
big time.
Really, if
Grey Cups too, yeah.
Yeah, if the defensive line here can take anything away from his game, we'll be in good shape.
Absolutely. So a reminder, we're broadcasting inside the Wall Center, the Go-Goat Sports Studio. Matt Baker and Nick Kowalski on First and Now. Follow us. I'm at Bakes Takes 84. He is at Nick_Kowalski, right?
And NIK. I say it every time.
The Twitter account, the podcast has a Twitter account at First and Now, at Go-Goat Sports on Twitter. Their social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff. Totally interactive here on First and Now. Back in a matter of seconds with John Bowman, defensive line coach. And we're thrilled to welcome in our guest right now. He is a 9-time CFL East Division All-Star, the Montreal Alouettes' all-time leader in sacks with 134, 6th all-time in career CFL sacks as well. John Bowman joining us here on First and Now. Coach, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Quite the introduction, too.
Yeah, quite the production indeed. Yeah, I know we were going to get you on in Kamloops, and I know we were juggling some commitments up there, and we're glad we got you when we're back here in the studio here at the Wall Center. Lions defensive line coach, and we'll kind of start there, John, as you know you're knee-deep in preparations for the Elks, but overall, how's it been for you? 3 weeks in Kamloops. I know you've been into the office a couple times before we went up to training camp. How much fun you having?
It's really fun. Just seeing the guys committed to trying new things, actually trying to pick my brain to see what I did to have success, and adding that tool to their tool belt is pretty cool. And actually blending minds with Ryan and Travis and Coach Tanya, and coming up with cool ideas and fun plays. It's good. It's really good.
You learn anything, any surprises as we broke camp as far as roster personnel or the type of players we have on that defensive line?
No, I mean, just the amount of talent that was brought in. Like, we let go of some good dudes, not just this week, but the previous week after Calgary. We let go of a lot of guys who could play football in this league, just to see their level of commitment and their intensity that they play with. It says a lot, and the veterans they brought in this year in free agency to blend in with that young nucleus of guys they had from last year should make for interesting blend.
And so how would you even describe this group of defensive linemen you got? I guess it's going to look like a rotation this year, right?
I mean, hopefully we just I tell them our one thing we wanted to be known as is consistent. We don't want to have too many peaks and valleys. We want to get to a nice level, like nice steady playing level, and let it cruise through there. You don't want to be known as the player who's hot and then cold. You want to be a steady Eddie, as my coach like to say. So we just want to be consistent and do the little things well and build off of that.
And now you have David Menard on your defensive line this year
Yeah.
too, who just got back from Montreal. So have you guys talked about anything about the Alouettes organization or your time playing in
No, I
Montreal?
mean we came in like he went to the Montreal at a different era than what I came in at. So I'm sure he loved it. You know, being home, being close to home for him was is good. It's always good playing in front of your home crowd and stuff like that. Place you grew up in. But mostly we've been talking about like playing against each other on field goals or something like that. But just our playing styles, how different, how we're different players, but we kind of had the same kind of grinded out kind of playing style and just getting things done no matter how it looks.
Let's hop into the time machine here a bit,
Uh,
John. We'll have some fun. So your first year as a player with Montreal, 2006, I believe that was after your arena football stint. Do I have that right?
yes, sir.
So 2006, you end up. Sorry to bring this up. You end up going to a Grey Cup that year, and coming up short against the BC Lions. But let's be honest, that was probably one of the better Lions teams ever put together. But what do
It
you?
was David. It was David versus Goliath.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But you made a game of it, no doubt. But just your overall, before we talk about that part of it, what was your adjustment like to the Canadian game that year? Because you would have came in pretty with cold feet kind of thing, right?
Yeah, no, it was extremes. You know, arena football is 50 yards long and 25 yards wide. And coming up here was 65 wide and 120 long. So definitely had to get more running in. And, you know, I was tired. Like I played a full season in arena, minus like a playoff game. And I came up here and played a full season up here. So my body was hurting a little bit. And Coach Matthews at the time could tell. And we had a great coaching staff, and they let me play and let me have fun, even though I was a rookie and I was kind of off the roster at the end because of fatigue.
Hmm.
But I had a lot of fun, and adjusting to the CFL was it's kind of similar to this to the arena with the motions and the crazy plays and the stuff like that, especially back in the day. Um, so it wasn't too much of an adjustment play wise. It's just getting used to the field and the yard off, and those are the biggest two things I had. The biggest two hurdles for me.
What do you remember most about that day specifically, the 94th Grey Cup?
It was cold.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the week was colder than the game. I do remember that, and I remember the Alouettes getting cheated because of a blown whistle early that would have resulted in a fumble return to the house by Mr. Chip Cox.
Right, of
And
course.
I remember Robert Edwards fumbling on the 1 yard line. You know, he's a great player, and he did fumble on the one. And great play by Mr. Glott there to knock that out. But I remember a lot. But listen, the Lions that year had the best looking defensive line I've ever seen, like the biggest arms I've ever seen. Tyrone Williams, by far the biggest arms in CFL history.
Yeah.
And we just went out there and competed, and it was a good game. It was a back and forth. It was one of those low scoring kind of grind out games, and BC won that day.
Yeah, I remember watching as a young fan. I remember thinking, okay, the Lions kept moving the ball, but settling for field goals. I think Mr. McCallum was 6 for 6, a
Hmm.
Grey Cup record. But last thing for me on this, we're not going to talk about 2006 the whole time. Don't worry, sir. But your defensive coordinator that year, I believe, was Chris Jones, right?
Yes.
And now,
Yep.
week one, you're going up against Chris Jones. I mean, how funny is that to think about in retrospect?
Every time I come into the coach's office or think that I'm coaching, I always think about crazy stuff like that. Like, like guys who used to coach me, especially as a rookie, I'm now sharing locker rooms with or chatting up, talking about schemes or something. He was a very knowledgeable guy. He liked it his way. So
Yeah.
like whether people question his style or whatever he did, like his attitude off the field, like he won, and he did it his way, and you can appreciate him for that. He might have rubbed some people the wrong way doing it, but he's a good coach. He's a good coach. He's a good coach still, but he's a great coach back then, and he actually helped me to develop into. He sat me down after the season. He said, "Listen, We know you just played a long year in the arena, and we know you played 13, 14 games here, but here's what you need to do to get better. And, that 2007 year I came back and, I was a little bit better.
And then obviously a couple years later, you got multiple Grey Cup championships with the
Yes.
Alouettes. So, what are some of maybe the best memories you have from those two championship teams?
Well, before we even get to the two championships, I remember, and I don't want to stray too far off the path, but 2008, and I didn't know how to look at stuff, look at numbers and stuff like that. But I remember Trestman came in there day one of once we made the roster. Once we came back from training camp, he said 4 games, and we were like, what? And he's like, the over and under for us this season is 4 games in 2008, and we ended up going to the Grey Cup. I think we were 10-8, and that was the foundational piece, the foundation of what we were to become for the next 3, 4, whatever 5 years. We had a good 3, 4, 5 year run where we went to 4 Grey Cups in 5 years. So, but when you get to 2009 and 10, it was just special. Like 2009, like that team was remarkable. I think defensively, it was, if not first, the second best defense in CFL history. AC might have broken every record that year. We played in some tight games. I think the game in BC that year was close, and we lost at the in the goal line area that year too because of a blown whistle. But we went 16-3, or excuse me, 15-3 that year, and went on to win the Grey Cup, and to be one of the first teams to go back to back in 2010 since the Toronto teams was pretty cool too. And just for the city, like to see 300,000 people down the street of St. Catherine in 2009 was remarkable. And I guess we spoiled them in 2010. There wasn't that many, but the memories, other than like not the game withstanding, the memories, like team bonding, and like our D lines were special. It was just bonding all up and down. And then BC stole one of our guys, Karan, and he came over here and
Yeah.
had a great year 2010. But we still showed them we were still on top. But just those lifelong memories with those guys, especially in our D line room, super special. Like to this day, we still talk to everybody, and we have a Zoom or we have a FaceTime once a year just to make sure everybody's good.
I was going to ask about the defensive line you had there. Did they reach out to you when you first got hired by the BC Lions, and what were their thoughts about maybe
Well,
Anwar Stewart? What was his thoughts about
yeah.
you
So
coaching?
like, believe it or not, like from 2000, from early on, like me, Anwar, Devon Claybrooks, Karan is in coaching, Jeff Robertshaw is in coaching. Like it's like 6 of us that went on into coaching from that 2008, 9, 10 era. So like when I told them, like even before I became a coach, like 2020 during the pandemic year, we had our D line Zoom kickback, and the D line coach who coached us, Mike Sinclair, who actually played for the Seattle Seahawks. He told me, he's like, I know you ain't a coach right now, but you're gonna be a coach one day. He said it's in you, like teaching, and not just because I wasn't the most athletic or just a physically gifted player like some of these freaks are now. Like I was a study, like I study, I work hard, and that's how I became good. So he's like, that is in you, and that message is in me to deliver to these other guys who are like myself, who are the rare guys who got to work, who's not built off of speed and stuff like that. So he kind of knew that I was going to be a coach, and like I met Anwar, went to University of Kentucky. He gave me a sit down. I was there for a couple of days, some drawings and stuff like that. But everybody's super excited. Being back in the CFL was fun. Being around the guys again, being in the locker room again is fun. It was hard just living my life out on the beach, eating chicken and ice cream all day. So getting back into football is amazing.
Yeah, you only let your body go for about a few months after you stop playing, right? And then you realize you gotta get back into being active, right?
Well, Rick Campbell said since I'm only like one behind fourth or fifth place, if I get the itch, I can dress one game.
Well, there you go. So you're potentially giving us a scoop here, right? Okay. Um, Listen, kind of bringing it back to the current day here and what you've been doing, evaluating and putting a team together. And I know, unfortunately, there was a couple guys who couldn't get to Kamloops, whether it was injuries or passport issues, what have you. And we hope to see a couple of those guys soon, the Woody Barons and the Stove Richardsons. But overall, what do you think the identity of this defensive line will be this season, John?
I just think we're going to be steady workers. Like the crew that was here last year are in their second year for the most part. They want to show people like, hey, we didn't just stay on the team because we were here. They want to prove to people they can be good. And with the 3 or 4 veterans, and hopefully Woody soon, and we'll see when Stove gets here. But when those guys come into the mix, they want to prove to those guys, hey, we feel like we can build a career out of here too. Like you're talking about Betts, who's been around for about 4 years, Menards, who's been around 8 years, Woody, whenever he comes back, has been around 5 years, and then everybody else is 2 years or lower. So it's going to be a nice blend, but like I tell them, don't put the cart before the horse. Like we want to be consistent at the little things. Like our room, I don't talk about sack numbers. I don't talk about, hey man, let's go get some sacks. We talk about getting victories, like beating our offensive linemen, like because that leads to sacks and that leads to pressures and that leads to hits. You want to be a consistent machine. Like you want to train yourself. Okay, this guy's blocking me this way. This is what I got to do. So I think our room is a perfect blend of old and new English. We got some French guys. We got Tebow, who's from Denmark. So we got a little bit of that in there. So I love the mix. Very energetic crowd, super funny. Even when we're learning, we can be lighthearted. But they know when it's time to strap it on. It's time to strap it on and go.
I was going to ask about Thibaut Debaye and just he's obviously the global player on the roster this season, but and I mean this in a good way, but is there anything that you've noticed that is maybe different in his game given he was playing in Europe beforehand?
He's not just a global player. Like some and I don't mean to offend anyone. Some people are just global guys, and they have to be here or whatever. But he's an excellent player. He plays the run stout, and he's got some wiggle for a wide body guy. Like his personality is fitting for the room. He's funny. He doesn't take himself too seriously, and he's having fun. Like if you can tell a guy from Denmark, "Hey, you're gonna go to Canada and play football," it'd be just like me when you told me I'm coming from North Carolina to play football in Canada. Like it's like no way, whatever. So he's living his one of his dreams right now, and he's contributing. He's not a throw-in player. He does some really good things down for us, especially last game because he didn't play the first game, and he showed in practice his ability, and that's why coaches kept him around so he can grow and continue to display what he can be.
Mhm. Another character in the defensive line room, Tim Bonner. I've had the pleasure of getting to meet him these past couple weeks. Yeah, he's a funny guy. Hey.
I mean, without getting too explicit, he's a funny dude. I mean,
Yes.
just everybody from his area, from I think he's from New Orleans, but he's raised in South Florida. They got a little something with him, and he doesn't lack in that department.
Yes, definitely correct. Love Tim, and looking forward to seeing what he has in store in year number 2. I know you don't get too caught up in birth certificates, like you just said, John, but I know defensive line was an area they wanted to address in the Canadian draft, and you see Mr. Cherry go with the third overall pick. His Saskatchewan Husky mate Riley Pickett is here as well. Just your overall sense of how that group has adjusted to the pro game so far.
For sure. I mean, listen, my old teammate of like 10 years, Scott Flores, running a sound program over there.
Yeah.
Those guys came in with the work ethic, and obviously you see their body. They're like chiseled beyond chisel. I don't know what these guys are eating these days, but they work hard and they just come in. They're coachable and they just want to work. Like that's simple as it sounds. Like, hey coach, what can we do? If we're on the sideline, hey coach, can we do some of this? Can we do some of that? What should I be thinking about? Or if they got to go on scout team to give a look on special teams, they just want to work. No complaining, just head down grinding, and like Pickett, he might have hurt his hand in the game, but he didn't take himself out. He kept playing. And Nathan Cherry, what he's been showing, like not his film withstanding, like what he did in Saskatchewan, what he's done here, and a lot of people going to say, oh, he hasn't shown it in the games. What he's shown us in practice, it gives us a lot of confidence for what he can be. Like when it's his turn to go in, we're not scared there's going to be a drop off of talent, even though he's just going to be a rookie. He's showing some great bursts, some great agility and ability, especially for a guy his size, and we're going to use him in multiple ways. And he's going to be a productive, I don't count statistics on film. He'll be a very productive guy.
I was just telling Baker today, I think Cherry grows every time I see him. It's
ridiculous.
Yeah. Hey, so the secondary in RP, they have quite the list of celebrations they've been talking about, and we've seen a couple of them in Kamloops come out. Are we going to expect anything similar from the D line for sacks or anything else?
Listen, if they come up with something, we'll see what it can happen. But hopefully it's simple, something simple that we all can do. We got to remember, I'm gonna be 40. And I've got a lot of miles. I got a lot of games on these bones. So if they come up with a simple celebration that we all can do, I'll take part in it.
Yeah.
But if it's something for these young guys, then I'm gonna stand to the side and just clap.
Yeah, we saw RP jumping around with Gary Peters and Kamloops. A lot of fun
He's got
stuff.
some young knees. RP's got young knees.
Takes a lot to compete with RP, dancing wise. So
his fitness meters through the radar just for game day.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, well, we got you just for a couple more minutes. So we've talked a lot of football, and I know you're preparing for the Elks as we speak, so we appreciate you taking the time. But for some of our listeners, viewers might not be as familiar with your background before football. You grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So growing up in Brooklyn, what was it? Were you New York Yankees? Which football team? I mean, who are some of your sports heroes growing up in Brooklyn?
The crazy thing is, like, when you're a Yankees fan, you're supposed to be like a Knicks fan, but I was the opposite. So I was a Yankees guy, and my uncle who got me into watching baseball. So like I grew up watching reruns of the great Yankees teams with, and this is why I chose number 7, the great Mickey Mantle and those kind of guys, watching reruns of those games. But I grew up watching baseball. That was my number one sport. But I'm a Yankees, Jets, and a Rangers fan. Go Rangers.
Yes.
I didn't really too much care about basketball growing up, but so I eventually got a weird affinity for the Dallas Mavericks. My cousin got drafted by them in 2002, so I became a Mavericks fan right around that time.
Who's that?
Marquise Daniels.
Okay, wow. There you go.
Yeah.
Small world. New York Rangers. Okay, so we will not talk about 1994, although I made you talk about 2006, so maybe we'd be even there. But
94 was the year that they won.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh, they beat your team.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That was as a 10-year-old kid, that was an amazing. I mean, that Canuck team had no business going that far.
Yeah,
so it was kind
a
of
great run, yeah.
It was a more of a Cinderella type thing, and the city was very, very proud. But again, we're a little time sensitive here, recording this on a Monday. I was looking at your Rangers in Tampa in Game 3, saying, hey, they might sweep these guys, but.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, it looks like they're in for I mean, they're still in pretty good shape.
But you hate to lose it in the last minute of the third period right there when you're at the doorstep of possibly going to overtime. You hate to lose it. I think it was like 42 seconds to go. So
yeah,
I mean, hopefully they can steal Game 4 here. And come back to New York up 3-1.
Still have the home ice advantage. Yeah.
Still have the home ice advantage for that.
I'm a big believer that if you're not in trouble until you lose at home in the NHL playoffs.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Sure.
So, and you get to this stage too, the teams are now so razor thin. So one bad bounce here or there, it could change the whole complexion of the series.
Look at us talking puck.
Exactly. That's why we got you on, because it's you're multi-dimensional. It's good. We'll have to do a full hockey episode next time. But I know, joking aside, I think Nick here has the Rangers in his Stanley Cup pool, right?
Yeah. I have the proof. I have Rangers over Colorado, so I'm sitting pretty right now.
Oh, wow. We got Rain Man over here. It's all right. Hopefully.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I've been letting my friends know. Trust me.
Don't want to
Colorado's already resting.
Yeah.
Did they sweep them or they play today?
Yeah, we're recording this, I think, just before Game 4. So
okay,
we're
sorry, folks, if you're listening.
Well, so
we're recording this. So.
The decision desk has, I think, put Colorado into the Stanley Cup final. Whether it's a sweep or not, who knows? But yeah, so it's a great time of year. Number one reason being that we're starting to play CFL football as well. Hockey playoffs, NBA finals, baseball kicking into high gear. It's a
Yankees
good time.
Are up.
Yes.
Yankees are like 10 games or 20, 25 games over 500.
Yep.
Great time.
Yeah, they got like their magic numbers like 4 to clinch the AL East already, I think. So there you go. We have Lions defensive line coach, hockey, baseball insider, John Bowman. Listen, Coach, this is long overdue. Been wanting to get you on, and we're glad we made the time in week 1. So appreciate this, and we'll be talking to you this week.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks, John.
John Bowman, and as we learned there, we knew he was from New York. We knew he was a big Ranger fan, and obviously kind of goes the territory. Yankees. You're either Yankees or Mets if you're a baseball fan from New York. And I think he said New York Jets. So very, very interesting to hear kind of his background and his love of sports. Great. Yeah. We have to bring him back on one time again.
Yeah.
It's
total legend of the game too.
Yeah, and we hit on it in the open. Just preparing coaching staff, and it was kind of different this particular offseason. A lot of times in a perfect world, you announce the whole staff at once, but there's a situation where Claudel Lewis wasn't coming back, and lo and behold, he's now a player again with the Edmonton Elks. We look forward to seeing Claudel here on Saturday night at BC Place, but it's like out of nowhere, John Bowman is going to get hired. So that was a very welcome surprise. And yeah, I know a lot of fans disappointed. I mean, 2 of the prized free agent additions, Stove Richardson, Woody Barron, not here. But, I mean, one man's tragedy is another man's triumph. And hopefully a couple of these guys, he mentioned the Tim Bonners, the Josh Banks, who are going to start at those interior spots. Maybe, just maybe, it lights a fire under their you-know-what, and knowing that, okay, I mean, these guys went out and signed guys to replace us, but now we're here for various reasons, and hopefully that means good things for the entire defense.
No, exactly. And Nathan Cherry is expected to be in that rotation as well. I know just based off what we saw Friday against Saskatchewan, Cherry was rotating in with the starters on whatever situations. And I know there was a play where he got a pretty good shot in on, I think it was Cody Fajardo, and I looked at you and I looked at you and I just gave you a nod. And this is our 3rd overall pick already making plays in his first ever CFL action, right?
Not sure about his billiard skills, but
yeah, that's another Arrow Up reference there. We filmed the Sask Boys Pickett and
episode
Cherry.
6, I believe that was.
Yeah, we got them. We wanted to just get the fans to see them a little more and get to know them a little more, and just so happened that they were playing some pool. I call it pool.
Pool.
They were playing pool during the strike. That was what they were doing to keep busy and practicing at pool.
5th floor boardroom had the pool table and the foosball too. So next year we'll do foosball with someone up there. Excellent stuff. Lions and Elks Saturday. Again, get your tickets. They're going very, very fast. By the time you're listening to this, you might be out of luck. So bclions.com, a family zone section, $25 all in. Our Truly Den is back. If you want more of a lounge suite type of deal, I believe those are at $30. $280 for the whole season. You got sideline seating, field level. You want to be close to the action. You want to be able to just feel the guys around you. There you go. Well, don't reach out and touch them, but you know what I'm saying. All kinds of ticketing options. bclions.com. They're going fast. One Republic, 6:30. Nick, it's finally here.
Yeah, looking forward to it. The concert, the pregame festivities I'll be documenting. I'm looking forward to being in that atmosphere with my camera, and just excited to see some football go down here this weekend.
Yeah, let's just win the damn game, too. Get off to 2022 on a good note. Broadcasting at the Wall Center, the Go-Goat Sports Studios. First and now, the official Lions podcast. We have a bye next week, but we'll do a podcast next week. We'll look to come in here again next week and
we got to break down how we got to 1-0.
Exactly. See, I like your thinking. Thanks for listening, everybody. Until next week.